Welcome, and thank you for braving the cold to join us today as we commemorate the 20th anniversary of Laurie's House, our shelter for survivors and their families who experienced domestic and sexual violence and stalking. My name is Chris, and I'm the director of Voices, and thank you for coming. We've come a long way in 20 years. It's been quite the journey, one that I have been proud to be a part of. I might get a little choked up. It started all those many years ago as an idea based on an assessed need for safe shelter for survivors and their children in our community. An idea that became a reality through the support of our community and housing partners, including the City of St. Albans, Vermont Housing and Conservation Board, Northwestern Medical Center, community partners, and individuals who saw the worth of our vision and were willing to help. It took many years to make it happen, but we finally opened our doors in 2002. Since that time, 1,218 people have found safety at Laurie's House, for a total of 33,634 nights. Big number. Quite a feat. I am often asked why we chose to name the shelter Laurie's House. With her family's blessing, we named the shelter in honor of a Franklin County woman who was killed by her partner, and we honor her by calling the shelter Laurie's House. It seemed fitting. And at the same time, we changed the name of the organization to Voices Against Violence to better reflect our vision. So 10 years ago, we really did a lot of change in our community. As the needs of families have evolved over the years, so has Laurie's House. We have created more private space, as well as expanded the number of rooms, relocating some staff to an office, our new office space, and drop-in center, and to accommodate the increasing numbers of survivors seeking safety. And I want to especially acknowledge the efforts of two amazing community members that couldn't be here today, Cindy and Susan, who 10 years ago volunteered their time and expertise to give the shelter a much-needed facelift with a focus on being more trauma-informed. They did an amazing job, and their legacy remains today. We are so fortunate that our community cares for one another and supports the work of Voices and Laurie's House. And as one former Laurie's House resident wrote to us, "It's been a while since I moved out of Laurie's House or have accessed any of your services. I just wanted to say thank you for all you have done for me and my family. The programs and services you provide to women and their families are awesome. You help me to realize that I am special, smart, talented, and strong." And lastly, I just want to acknowledge the ongoing support and guidance we receive as a program of CVOEO. They work side by side with us to make Laurie's House a reality and continue to support our work every day. I am so grateful. Now I would like to introduce Paul Dragon, the Executive Director of CVOEO. Yay. Paul.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I think at times we're invited to witness very special places, very special events, even sacred places, whatever that might mean to you. These places are meaning. These places are of meaning where there's hope and where there's healing. Think about every adult and every child over the past 20 years that has passed through the doors of Laurie's House. Think about their fear, their anxiety, and their hope. Then think about the dedication and the passion of our staff. Think about all that emotion in one place. That place is consecrated with who we are as a people. There's a saying in Judaism, which is, if you save one person, you save the world. And I believe that, because if you exclude one person, we're at risk of excluding everyone. To our team here at Voices, people in crisis depend on you. Our community depends on you. Humanity depends on you. You have our deepest gratitude. We are honored to work with you. I am so honored to work with you. To Chris, who has led this program for 26 years, there is no gratitude deep enough, wide enough for the hundreds and hundreds of people you have helped to save. I don't say this lightly. Chris, you are my hero. You are our hero.
That made me cry.
To our entire team at Voices, we would not be whole without you. You're an amazing group of people. This is amazing work. To our partners, we can't do this work without you. We would not be complete without your support, and we would not be in community without you here. So with that, I am so honored to introduce our partners in this effort. And first is Kelly, Congressman Welch's office.
Thank you, Paul. It's good to be with you all today. Paul and Chris, thank you. Thank you for inviting Congressman Welch to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Laurie's house. Congressman Welch would love to be here with all of us today, but he is in Washington, D.C. Congressman Welch asked me to share with you his deep support for the important work that you do every day. It changes lives. The staff at Voices Against Violence and Laurie's house are on the front lines serving survivors of domestic and sexual violence. And that work brought new challenges during the pandemic, including the increased need for services, longer shelter stays, and the lack of safe and affordable housing in the area. It's why Congressman Welch supported the American Rescue Plan Act, which included funding for to support domestic violence and sexual assault survivors and their children, as well as the Emergency Housing Voucher Program, which provided housing choice vouchers to assist individuals and families fleeing domestic and sexual violence. As the community comes together to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Laurie's house, Congressman Welch recognizes the Champlain Valley Office of Economic Opportunity as uniquely being the only community action agency with a domestic violence program in Vermont. Congressman Welch also recognizes the strong and dedicated leadership of Chris Lukens, who has led Voices Against Violence for 26 years. Congressman Welch thanks you and your staff for your steadfast commitment to serving survivors of domestic and sexual violence in your community. Congratulations, Paul, Chris, and staff, as you commemorate this 20th anniversary of Laurie's house. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And now I'd like to introduce Erhard Manka from Senator Sanders' office.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Chris. Thank you for having me here today on behalf of Senator Sanders to help celebrate the 20th anniversary of Laurie's house. On his behalf, I want to congratulate Chris and her team here at Voices Against Violence, Paul and his staff at CVOEO, and everyone in the community who's been involved in achieving this important milestone. The Senator thanks you all for your tireless work to provide a safe space for families and survivors of intimate partner and sexual violence in Franklin County. It is a sad reality that the threat of violence against partners and family members is very real in Vermont, across the nation and around the world, regardless of economic status, age, ethnicity, or religious beliefs. The Vermont Network estimates that each year there are more than 40,000 victims of intimate partner or sexual violence here in Vermont, though research indicates that most survivors do not report their abuse. The startling reality is that as many as 1 in 4 women will experience some form of intimate partner violence in their lifetime. This is completely unacceptable and must change, period. We also know that the tragedy of intimate partner violence not only puts the lives of individuals in danger, it has serious consequences for children and families as well. The children that bear witness to this violence are often left with trauma that can remain with them for a lifetime and continues the cycle of violence unless they receive support. It is likely that each one of us knows someone who has experienced intimate partner violence or sexual assault, even if they haven't shared their story. These survivors are our friends, our neighbors, colleagues, and family members. Please know that Senator Sanders stands in solidarity with you and is working hard as chair of the Senate Budget Committee to ensure that every person has the ability to live safely and to their full potential without the threat of intimate partner or sexual violence. He was also proud to co-sponsor the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization earlier this year, which funds critical and life-saving programs for victims of intimate partner violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. He understands full well the importance of a place like Laurie's house as a welcoming refuge for survivors and their children, providing safe, hope, and healing for our neighbors in need. Laurie's house is all the more important as a community resource for St. Albans and Franklin County as intimate partner violence has risen during the pandemic and the length of shelter stays has increased due to our extreme shortage of affordable housing. Thanks again for all your tireless efforts. On behalf of survivors, congratulations on achieving this remarkable milestone and wishing you all the best as you expand your services. It is important to celebrate our progress while still knowing we have work to do to create an equitable and just world. Thank you.
Thank you, Earhart. So we have a great partnership with the state of Vermont. We have an amazing partnership with the Office of Economic Opportunity, and we have a great leader in Sarah Phillips. So Sarah, come on up.
That was very kind. Thank you, Paul. I'm Sarah Phillips. I'm the director of the State Office of Economic Opportunity in the Agency of Human Services. And on behalf of AHS, I just want to recognize 20 years of really critical, good work at Laurie's house. Government itself can't solve these kind of tough problems, right? We can't do it alone. We need strong, really strong public-private partnerships. We need nonprofits like the Champlain Valley Office of Economic Opportunity willing to step in to fill the gaps, to be the backbone for so much good work in this area. We need organizations like Voices Against Violence and leaders like Chris Lucas-Rose with tenacity and vision to bring together staff and community to walk with survivors on a really tough journey and to work towards change in the broader community. So I'm really proud that at the Office of Economic Opportunity, we're able to be a partner to this good work as a funder, but as a partner in so many other ways. Thank you. So thanks to the team, thanks for their incredible flexibility, for their good work to meet the changing and unfortunately growing needs in the area, and to do it with so much hope and light. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. So we are really lucky with our friends. We are lucky with our local leaders. And Melinda White is a great local leader. Melinda supported not only Voices, but Samaritan House and CVOEO. And Melinda, like, have you come up and see.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm honored and blessed on this beautiful day to be sharing the celebration for 20 years with Voices. I started partnering with Chris approximately 10 years ago. And from day one, when I started working in the field of substance use treatment and recovery, Chris has been ever present. Whenever there's community initiatives, Chris is there. We serve together on the police advisory board outside of our regular jobs, and I'm just so grateful for the work that Voices does. When I was reflecting on what stands out the most during my time in partnership with them, I'm reminded of when a few years ago, when we learned about this global pandemic, and the world was told to retreat and hide and stay safe. And during that time, before there was any information to learn how to be safe, Chris and her team were out every single day delivering food, delivering supplies. basic needs for their survivors that were either in the shelter or placed in hotels. I also, I see some other partners with Samaritan House and Community Action. There was a group in this community that needed to be out when everyone else was so scared to even leave their homes, much less go around other people. This team didn't hesitate. They were out taking care of people who were most in need. And for me, that is what this community does. And it's people like Chris Lukens that leads by example. So some of the upcoming leaders know, how do I be a leader someday? Just watch Chris. I'm so blessed to be a partner with Voices Against Violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. And CVOEO, Voices, Samaritan House, we have a great partnership with our friends at the United Way. We do a lot of education and advocacy together, and I'm so delighted that Liz is able to join us today.
Hi, I'm Liz Gamache. I'm going to wear a couple of hats today. I'll start out with my hat as a representative of United Way of Northwest Vermont. We are so honored and delighted to be here today to celebrate a milestone, 20 years. It in some ways feels like it was just yesterday, and in some ways it feels like it was 20 years ago that all this started. We've got to recognize the tremendous efforts that people in this community have made to make this happen, and Chris is one of those people. I know you're getting plenty of accolades today, and they're well deserved. We are so thrilled to have CVOEO and to have Laurie's House as one of our trusted partners. This is an important relation to us at United Way because it helps us to work together with solid community partners to achieve impact that helps the community at large. We focus under the direction of our community member volunteers on 5 focus areas. I'm going to name them in just a moment, and I think if you think about Laurie's House, as I name them, you'll realize how interconnected the work is that takes place at Laurie's House and how much it matters to the community in so many different ways. We're so thrilled to have a partnership to focus on meeting basic needs. That includes housing, transportation, and food. Promoting mental health, supporting families, preventing substance misuse, and fostering financial sustainability. They all go together, and Voices and Laurie's House is at the heart of this, providing safety, support, empowerment, encouragement to help our community members in need achieve positive impacts in these areas. I'm going to change hats for just a moment and speak as a community member. I moved to St. Albans about 21 years ago, and one of the first community conversations I recall being involved with was around this idea, the idea that had been circulating that we could start a place of safety for people who were impacted by sexual and domestic violence. And that idea became a reality. I saw the community come together to support the idea through funding, volunteerism, and advocacy to make it happen. And now, 20 years later, we are so delighted to see just how many people have been served. I didn't know at the time that I would go on to become more involved in city affairs and serve as mayor. And I was able to see even more deeply how much Laurie's House plays a critical role in our community fabric and makes a difference to so many folks. So in closing, what I'd like to share is deep appreciation for the work that Laurie's House does to empower, provide safety, and hope for individuals and families in our community, because that extends to our community at large. You make us a better place. Thank you. Thank you to Chris, to the staff, volunteers, and supporters.
Thank you, Liz. There's so much important work we do as a community and as an organization. I can't think of more critical work than the work that happens at Voices and at Laurie's House. Violence breaks and peace rebuilds, and that's what our team does. They heal and they help rebuild. And I want to invite Shannon up, who represents our team.
Hi all.
Thank you so much for coming today to celebrate 20 years of our emergency shelter, Laurie's House. My name is Shannon McMahon. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the advocacy coordinator at Voices Against Violence. And we know that survivors have incredible strengths. We trust their intuition and knowledge around the violence they're experiencing, and our advocacy is led by the person or the family that we're working with. We know that survival makes people resilient in ways they should never have had to be. For adults and children, trauma that creates violence is held in the body and it takes a lot to heal from. At Laurie's House, we center survivors and their experience in every service that we provide, starting with the layout of our shelter. We have a playroom for children, designed and kept up by our Family Services Coordinator, Hannah, a living space, a full kitchen, a dining space, and a quiet room for survivors and their families to read or spend any time they would like to on their own. And from the bedding, to the lighting, to the artwork on the walls, we strive to make the survivors stay at Laurie's House have a welcome that they deserve. The advocacy staff will work with the survivors and the family to identify what they need immediately and then ongoing. We hold the stories that we hear close and use them in the ongoing work to serve people in Franklin and Grand Isle counties. We strive to have our shelter space reflect the communities that we serve. Being a prevalent area in Vermont for agriculture, our communities do have Spanish-speaking populations. We make sure to have our services in Spanish as well as in English. We have translation services we can use in shelter that can support more than 380 languages that anyone needs day or night. We provide services to areas in our communities that are on native land. It is our responsibility to not only honor the Abenaki community, but do the work to make our services and shelter accessible and comfortable. Our advocacy staff and the folks living in the space work together to create an environment that promotes safety and healing. The art we have, some are done by previous folks that have accessed Laurie's House that are inside on display right now. The shelter supplies we offer, the food we provide is all centered around and reflective of the people that we're serving in Franklin and Grand Isle. We know that the work to heal from gendered violence is best done in community. Our advocacy staff provides community meals, different types of support groups, and other healing activities in the space. We hear what the survivors would like to do to promote their own healing, and we work to make it happen. We also know that domestic and sexual violence in our communities cannot be ended alone. So we're really thankful for our partners in Franklin and Grand Isle that collaborate with all of us for the best support possible and make sure that we do live in counties where we can all thrive. Experiencing violence can create so much to carry, and we're thankful when folks access our shelter that they can feel a little lighter. So thank you all again for being here. Thank you so much for Chris for all the work she's done and helping us continue this work to the movement to end violence.
Thank you, Shannon. And who better to bring us home than Chris Lucan?
It's cold out here, so I will make it short. But thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate this and helping us celebrate our achievement, and we couldn't have done it without you. So we welcome you into our space. There's coffee, hot coffee, and sweets. So please help yourself. Enjoy the artwork in there. This is our drop-in center, so folks can just drop in when they need to. We provide things for them like personal care items and diapers and whatever that they may need. So please come in and join us in some refreshments. Thank you so much for coming. Woo.